Okay, hey guys, today we're going to learn about percents. Now, you guys have worked with percents in the past, so should be a review. That's why I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. You should have some understanding of what a percent is already. You do need to take notes in your notebook, okay? And we're going to kind of practice all this stuff in class tomorrow. So, first thing that you need to know is what percent means. So, I want you to write down this definition. A percent, okay, is a ratio that compares a number to 100. That compares a number to 100. Okay, basically a percent means out of 100. So it's some part out of 100. So a percent is also a part. Percent kind of means part. Okay, so if you can write those down, a percent, it's a ratio that compares a number to 100 and it's part. So I could think like this. If I had 3 out of 100, that's a percent because it's out of 100. So it's a fraction to start with, but I can write it as a percent. It'd be 3%. Okay, I could also write 25 out of 100. Now that's a fraction to start with, but I can rewrite it as a percent. That's the same as 25% because it's out of 100. So fractions can be percents. You can always rewrite a fraction as a percent. If you had like a not nice one, like 3/5, and you want to change that so it is a percent, you could make that fraction out of 100. I could just kind of multiply 5 times 20. 3 times 20 would be 60. Now it's a percent because it's out of 100, so it'd be 60%. So again, a percent can be written as a fraction. It can be written as a decimal, all right? So, or it can be written as a percent. So there's a bunch of different ways to kind of write this. So we're going to be working with solving percent problems. Okay, now I'm going to be showing you 2 different ways to do this, and you're going to kind of pick which way makes the most sense for you. All right, the first way I'm going to show you involves a percent equation. Okay, so I kind of want you to write this down in your notes, a percent equation. Okay, now, there's some key words that you need to know to be able to write a percent equation. The first one I want you to remember is in math. We remember that that can mean equals in math. Okay, that's one thing it can kind of mean. Is can mean equals. Another key word that we're going to be working with in math is of. When you see the word of, it can mean multiply. Okay, so again, is can mean equals, of can mean multiply. Now, we're going to be trying to find parts of numbers or percents of numbers. So there's a way that you can do it. There's kind of 2 ways. You can try to find the part. To find the part, you can actually multiply the percent times whatever your whole number is, okay? So this is kind of an equation you can use. To find the part, you can do the percent times the whole. Now, let me show you one where that works, okay? So what if I say that 75% of the kids in the class, wore jeans today? All right, and let's say there are 100 kids at school that we surveyed. All right, so I want to find, well, how many wore jeans? Okay, so I want to find the part that wore jeans. Okay, so I can take whatever the percent is, 75%, times the total number of kids, which was 100. Okay, so I can just work that out. So to find the part, I need to find 75% times 100. Well, one way to do that is to change this to a decimal. So I can actually say, well, that's the same as 0.75 times 100. Now, if I work that out, 0.75 times 100, that's actually 75. So my answer is 75 students wore jeans. Now, I can always kind of test that. All right, if I had 75 students out of 100, is that 75%? Well, yeah, it is. 75 out of 100 is 75%. All right, sometimes you won't get a word problem, but you'll just get a sentence where you have to find the part and the whole. So I'm going to show you another way to do the percent equation. Maybe you just kind of want to watch this one. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of read through the sentence, go straight across, and write down what I see. So it says 39, so I'm going to just write 39. Then it says is. Well, I know 39 is. Is can mean equals in math. Then it says 52% of, that's a keyword, that means times, of what number? If I don't know the number, what could I call it? about x? I just set up an equation. Remember, equation has an equal sign? So I'm going to rewrite it. I have 39 equals, now on my calculator, I never type in 52%. I have to do that as a decimal. That's the same as 0.52 times x. I can just write it right like that. Okay, now I know how to solve an equation. All right, I want to get the x by itself, so I can divide by 0.52. I have to do the same thing to the other side. So 39 divided by 0.52, that actually equals 75. I got another one with 75. So my answer is 75. Now, let's see if that makes sense. It says 39 is 52% of what number? So 39 is this part of what number? Well, we got 75. Let's see if 39 out of 75, let's see if that is 52%. You guys remember how to test that? Well, if you had a calculator, just take the top divided by the bottom, 39 divided by 75, and I get 0.52, which is the same as 52%. So I know I did that one right. All right, let's do another one kind of like that. All right, and here's what we have. All right, this time it says, what number is 150% of 40? Okay, so there's kind of two ways you can think about doing this. I'm going to kind of go through and see what I have. It says, what number? Well, I don't know that number. Let's call it x. It says, what number is, so I want to know this number is, means equals, 150% of 40. Of means times 40. So I want to know what's 150% of 40. Okay, to find a part of a number, you can actually take the percent or the part times the whole. That's really what I'm doing. 150 is my percent, that's the part times the whole. I can find that little number. Now, 150%, I can't write that as just 150. I need to change that to a decimal. To change it to a decimal, I move it back twice. So that's the same as doing 1.5 times 40. So I'm going to grab my calculator, type that in, 1.5 times 40, 1.5 times 40, which is 60. So my x is 60. So now let's see if this makes sense. It says, what number is 150% of 40? So 60 out of 40, is that 150%? Well, think if that makes sense. 40 out of 40 would be 100%. But if 60 out of 40, well, that's over 100%. If you divide it out, 60 divided by 40, you do get 1.5, which is the same as 150%. All right, so that's one way that you can do percent problems. Now, I'm going to show you a second way. The second way is with a proportion. So I want you to write down proportion. Okay. Now, some people like this way better because we've been doing a lot of proportions this year. Okay, when you're working with percents, you know that you have a percent, which is always out of 100. So if they ever give you the percent, you can write the percent out of 100. Okay, now, percent actually means part, so that's the same as whatever the part is over the whole. Okay, the part over the whole. All right, you can set up a proportion anytime you're working with percents to help you solve them. So I'm going to show you one, so make sure you have this copied down. I'll show you what one looks like. All right, here's our problem. It says a pitcher throws 75 pitches. Of these, 72% were strikes. So 72% of the pitches were strikes of the 75, right? 72% of all those pitches were strikes. Now, you can solve this a couple different ways. We can set up a proportion, so let me kind of show you. All right, I have my percent. Oops, I have my percent. It's 72%. I always know a percent's out of 100, so I can set that up. Okay, now, the pitcher threw 75 pitches. Is that part of his pitches? The part's always on top, or is that all of his pitches, the whole? Remember, it's part over whole. Okay, well, 75 pitches, that's all of them. That's all of his 100% of his pitches, so I'm going to put that across from the 100%. Now, I want to find the part that were strikes. The 72% that were strikes. That's why it's lined up across from it. Okay, we know how to solve this, okay? We've done these before, so you can decide, do I want to go across or up and down? So if I go from, let's see if one way is easier. You guys can grab your calculator if you have one. Looks like neither way is real easy, but I can go from 100 to 75, which is divided by 1.3 repeating. So I'm going to do 72 divided by 1.3 repeating. And I get 54. So my answer would be 54 were strikes out of the 75. Now let's check. 54 out of 75, we needed to see, well, is that 72%? Well, you guys know how to change a fraction to a percent. Just divide it. 54 divided by 75, it's 0.72, which is the same as 72%. Okay, so I just set up for proportion. I did my part over whole, percent over 100. Okay, I'm going to do one more. All right, here's the problem. It says in one class, 2 students said they never went to the mall. And those students were 8% of the whole class. We want to not find the whole number of kids in the class, the total number of students in the class. So I'm going to set up for proportion. Now you could do it with an equation, but we'll do a proportion on this one. So first thing, I have my 8%. So I'm always going to put my percent over 100. So it's 8 over 100. Okay, now it says I have 2 students that never went to the mall. You have to think, is that the part of the class? Is that the 8% of the class? Or is it 100% of the class? Is it the whole class? Well, the 2 students, that's just part of the class, so that goes on top. I want to know the whole class, how many kids are in the entire class. Okay, so I just set up for proportion. Now I can solve it. Oh, I'll go across. From 8 to 2, it's divided by 4. So I can do 100 divided by 4, which is 25. So there were 25 students in the entire class. Now, let's test that out. 2 students out of 25. Let's see if that is 8%. You can do 2 divided by 25. That gives me 0.08, which is 8%. So 8% of the class, it was 2 out of 25 students. Good. All right, so tomorrow we're going to be practicing some percent problems. I'm going to go over them a little bit more. You can choose, do you like the proportion? Do you like the equation? I'm going to show you a little bit more stuff to add on to this. So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. So bring your notes. Okay, bring your notes, and you do need to fill out the form.